Today I'm going to unbox and take a quick look at Rebel Fury, Battles of the American Civil War. This is a game designed by Mark Herman. It is volume 1 of the Civil War Heritage Series, as you can see right there. And it is published by GMT Games, which was kind enough to send me this. So thank you, GMT Games. Very excited about this in that I have some familiarity with it in that this originated in the game Gettysburg, which was published in C3i. I believe I did a video on this. If I did, I'll post it in the description. But this is how I store my magazine games or games that do not come in a box. I use these folders here. But you can see you have the counters here, you've got the rules, and then there is a player aid and of course a map in here as well. But the genesis of Rebel Fury started with Gettysburg and then was further modified from Gettysburg into Waterloo, campaign 1815, again published in C3i, as you can tell here. Again, both these are from Mark Herman. A little bit more counters in this one, and of course, it has the rules and a map in there as well. But these, the core mechanics that were developed in Gettysburg and Waterloo found their way into Rebel Fury. And now from Gettysburg and Waterloo, one thing you can note here is, not a huge counter density. I mean, there's more counters, it looks like, here in Waterloo, not as many in Gettysburg. These are a little bit, feel like a little bit higher level view or more, I don't know if I should say abstract, but it's not, the stacks of counters or, using cards for command and control and all that stuff. This is a relatively easy and accessible game to get into wargaming. At least that's my opinion. It was kind of designed to be relatively accessible. I wouldn't say these games are necessarily easy, but when you compare them to other hex and counter type games, I think these definitely are a little bit easier to digest and get right to the gameplay. They have some novel mechanics in how they are handling it, how they handle command. There's basically kind of a mobile headquarters. The headquarters does not necessarily represent the exact location of where your general is or where your generals are. However, it is kind of showing what the command radius is. And so where you place your headquarters or generals kind of tells you or limits where your command is as far as like movement and combat. There's also kind of a novel approach of whether your units are moving or whether they're in attack mode. And I think that, that kind of translates from both of these games, and I believe that translates into Rebel Fury as well. So after taking a little bit of a hiatus or taking a little bit of a shortcut or an alternative route to Waterloo, we're now back into the American Civil War. This started with Gettysburg, and now we're into 6 battles of the American Civil War. As you can see here, we have Fredericksburg and Chancellorsville. Both those battles will be played on the same map, but we'll have, I believe, a different counter set. Chickamauga and Chattanooga, again, on the same map, but different counter set. And then the Wilderness and Spotsylvania, same map, different counter set. Let's take a look at the back here and get a little bit more of what we're looking at here. As you can see here, there are the 3 maps. Here is an example of some of the counters. Let's take a little bit closer look at some of those. Of course, we're going to see them once we get inside the box as well. So you can see your generals there. And it's kind of a top-down view. You have a portrait of the generals or leaders, and then you have a top-down view of your units. And unit scale is division, brigade, size infantry and cavalry units with regimental detachments. So you see you have some detachments here, like right there, that are going to be smaller units, but this is basically a division brigade type scale. So again, you're at a little bit higher level. This feels feels I still, I believe, kind of a tactical or grand tactical game, but it feels a little operational in the scope of what you're handling the units. Map scale is half mile per hex, and time scale is half day per turn, so not even a full day. Complexity is a 3, as I was saying before. As far as war games go, this is, I think, relatively easy to get into. Solitaire suitability is 5, as you can see there. Let's take a read of the box here a little bit. Sorry for the glare. Rebel Fury, you are McClellan or are a Grant? Are you McClellan or are you Grant? Are you Bragg or are you Lee? Are you tactically methodical or explosive, strategically conservative or daring? Play Rebel Fury and find out. Rebel Fury is the first volume in Mark Herman's Civil War Heritage series that will eventually cover every major battle from the American Civil War. Now that is quite quite a goal there. Kind of interesting to see how this develops. Rebel Fury is a refined version of Mark Herman's 19th century low complexity game system as featured in his C3i Magazine's Gettysburg and Waterloo designs. In this system, you are placed in the role of a notable Army commanders: Grant, Lee, Longstreet, Jackson, Sherman, Thomas, Pope, Bragg, Rosecrans, Burnside, Sedgwick, Hooker, from America's war between the states. Rebel Fury is not a traditional hex and counter game where each side moves and attacks in sequence. Instead, Rebel Fury captures the flow of interactive maneuver where the points of assault are driven by your decisions, not the system. You are advantaged if you can turn your opponent's flank while controlling the tempo of the battle through more efficient maneuver. Okay, let's see over here. Rebel Fury covers 3 pairs, 6 total, of critical American Civil War battles connected by terrain and circumstances under which they were fought. Each of the 3 battles pairs is fought on the same map, but with unique and separate counter sets. The first pair is Fredericksburg, Burnside versus Lee, with Rebel defense solitaire rules. So that's kind of interesting. So we have a solitaire game in here. So this is only ranked to 5, but there is a solitaire rules there. And Chancellorsville, Hooker versus Lee, that explores the Union's failed turning movement in 1863. The second pair is Chickamauga, Bragg versus Rosecrans, and Chattanooga, Grant versus Bragg, where the South's last battle victory turns into Grant opening the road to Atlanta. The last pair sees Grant facing off against Lee in the wilderness and in the battle that quickly flowed into Spotsylvania, and sees some of the bloodiest combat of the war. Rebel Fury is a complete game with all the resources needed to explore and experience the American Civil War in this new and low complexity design. The benefit of having 6 unique counter sets is the game will allow a gathering of friends to play on all 3 maps simultaneously, so your groups can play and observe the broad view of these iconic battles. Okay, that's kind of cool. So you can play 3 games at once. Let's get inside this and see what we have here. And your typical good sturdy GMT box there. We get a bag of baggies. We have 3 dice here, 2 10-sided and 1 6-sided. That's got some special notations on there. Kind of cool. Don't remember that from in these games you supplied your own dice and it was just used off a 6-sider. So here's the playbook. So that is 24 pages long. It looks like it's got some historical context in there as well. So we're going to have each of the battles, and then you have designer notes. So this is going to set up, this is basically an introduction of how you play the different scenarios, all the different setups and victory conditions, and some design notes in there. Then you get right into the battle. So this is the setup for Fredericksburg, special rules, optional solitaire rules. Very interested in seeing how that plays out. And I wonder if you can translate that to the other ones. Here's your Fredericksburg setup for both the Union and the Confederates. And then you're right into the Battle of Chancellorsville. Special rules, victory conditions, optional rules here, and then into the kind of the order of the battle of the setup. Here's the Union, and here's the Confederate. Here's the Battle of Chickamauga. Special rules, victory conditions, your setup, Chattanooga, same thing. Wilderness, quite a few units here in the wilderness. Spotsylvania, looks like there's even more Union there. And then you've got your designer notes. So very cool. Nicely set up there and does not look too overwhelming. Here's your rules of play, which chart out at 24 pages, but on the back you have a sequence of play and you have attack resolution. Here you can see on the sequence of play, initiative, HQ redeployment check, HQ redeployment placement step. And again, that told you that they're not necessarily representing the actual physical location, but a general area of operation. Detachment placement, detachment recall, off-map movement, organization phase, which is formation, blown division, return, disengagement step, field works instruction. Then you have movement, then you have attack, then you have end phase. So have a couple of somewhat administrative type phases, and then then it's basically move, attack, and end phase. All right. And this is typical GMT fashion. It's dual column, full color, zones of control. And here's an example of some of the counters and how you read the counters on there. And then we've got let me go right into the key concepts and definitions. A lot of definitions, and I like definitions, but that's just my practice of my practice. That's what I've been trained in my profession. Use a lot of definitions. All right. Then we get into the sequence of play, which is similar to what we just saw on the back. Here's your command phase, organization phase, movement phase, and here is a example of, looks like example of play here. There's an extended movement example. So you have that right inside the rules. Here's your attack phase. There's some optional rules here as well. Then you have your end phase. So, and then you have an example here. It goes for a couple of pages. So really, not counting the examples, you're right at about 13, actually less than 13, because there's another full page example in there. So about right around 11, 12 pages of actual rules. Here are some additional rules. And then here is the victory conditions for all scenarios, which we saw separate victory conditions inside the playbook. There you have. Is that it? Nope, we've got an index too. So you can find that stuff as well. Let's take a look inside here. So we have a player aid here that's going to have your sequence of play again, your battle rating system, your HQ removal check, your tactical position determination, and your attack results. Then you have your train effects chart that's going to, of course, have a picture of the train, a description of the train, formation effects, combat effect, and zone of control or zone of COI, is that zone of influence, effects. A nice, good player aid stock. You get 2 of those for each player. Then you have your remaining moves and attacks and some turn chart based on the dates for each of these battles. So it looks like Spotsylvania might be the longest battle here, followed by Chancellorsville, the shortest one being Fredericksburg. So this is both serves as administrative plus a turn track. Of course, that's single-sided because that'll be on the table. Now we have the maps. Oh no, this isn't the map. This is a Union off-map display. So it looks like this is for Fredericksburg and Chancellorsville. Okay, so this is where your stuff is off-map and where they enter into the actual map. That's kind of cool. Haven't seen that before. All right, let's look at the counters. Then we'll have to probably go up Periscope for the map. So here are The counters, you can see right here, this is for Chickamauga, Chancellorsville, Spotsylvania for Union. And then we have the same on the other side for the Confederates. These are double-sided. You can see there. And I believe these are definitely different than what was in the other ones. The Gettysburg and Waterloo. I don't know if they did the top down. So there's definitely a refinement going on, but I imagine the rest of the Heritage Series is probably going to follow maybe this format, I would imagine, to keep them all aesthetically consistent. There we go. And here's the next counter sheet number 2, which has the Fredericksburg, Wilderness, and Chattanooga, and of course, Fredericksburg, Wilderness, and Chattanooga for the Confederates. And looks like we have some more administrative type markers or status maybe type markers mixed in among the other counters as well. So there you have that. Now let's look at the maps. I'm probably gonna need to make some space here to get to the maps. But these are on, typical what you expect from GMT, very thick or very nice map paper here. Let's look at Fredericksburg and Chancellorsville map first. Again, 2 battles we played on each one of these maps. Up a little bit here, or zoom out a little bit. Here we go. So here we have it. Here is the Rappahannock River. Let's see if I got the right. Let's flip it like this. I apologize if I'm butchering anything because I have not had my allotted amount of coffee today. See, I can't even say coffee. So there's Fredericksburg right up there. And here is the Orange Plank Road and the Old Turnpike. Of course, a lot of movement along those roads here. Here's the Wilderness Church. So there you have that. There's that map there. Very nice. I like the, let's go in so you can see a little bit closer. It's very clear what's in a hex with the different terrain and if there's like a hill or something like that. Very nice. Okay, let's see what the next map has in store for us. Let's do the Chickamauga-Chattanooga map. And I have been to both of those battlefields with my family against their will. Let's turn it this way. Although I think they learned something, whether they want to admit to it or not. So here we have, you can see I have a lot of raised terrain and wooded areas. So a lot of different, terrain definitely is going to have more of an effect here. Here's Chattanooga right here on the map. So very nice portrayal here, but you can just tell right out just by looking at that, it's going to be a different type of battle and how the terrain's going to affect movement and attacks. Let's look at this map. This is let's see what we have here. This is the Wilderness Spotsylvania map. It kind of reads this way here. So let's go like this. See what we have going on here. And as you can see, there's quite a bit of wooded area on this map as well, with some creeks and streams and river up there. So very much more wilderness, so to speak, which is kind of what gave its namesake to this battle. So there you have it. That is what you get in a box of Rebel Fury. So, I mean, you're getting 6 battles. I mean, how often do we get 6 battles in a box? Well, I mean, if you buy one of those big, Great Battles of History and stuff, you get tons of battles. But, I mean, this is kind of interesting in that you get 6 different battles, although they're being played on the same, two each are being played on the same board or map. But I still think that's quite a deal if you're interested in this system. And I do like this system. I think this is a interesting system. It's a little bit different, how the interaction of the headquarters and command and how it portrays command. That's one of the interesting aspects of war games is each period kind of has a different way of how command is modeled, and then it's always interesting to see how each war game, tries to match that command or model that command or simulate that command, from, the leaders have to be present to, running orders to your different sub-leaders or subordinates, and, and managing command and keeping morale and keeping, cohesion or whatever term you want to use to keep your lines together. So anyway, that is what I have for you today. Thank you so much for stopping by. I'm excited to get into this and play some of this, and I'll probably I'm going to do at least some after action reports for some of these battles. Which one should I start with? Why don't you let me know in the comments below where I should start on these 6 battles. I have 6 to choose from, and again, the rules do not look that complex. I imagine they're not drastically different than what they left off in Waterloo, but they might be different because there was definitely a kind of an evolution or development from Gettysburg to Waterloo, and now we have it in the Heritage Series or the Civil War Heritage Series. Anyway, thanks all. Drop the comments down below, and thanks for stopping by. Thanks for watching.